You ever had one of those nights where you wake up and the first thing you see is your whole life going up in flames? Yeah, that happened. 3:14 in the morning, barefoot on the frozen driveway, sweat icing my back. I stood there choking on smoke, watching my garage, the one I'd built up for 15 years, collapse in less than 8 minutes. My workshop, my tools, even my '67 Mustang I rebuilt bolt by bolt, all gone in one wicked orange roar. They said it was electrical, but my security camera, it said arson, and there was Delilah Harrington, our illustrious HOA president, standing across the street in her bathrobe, arms folded, just watching. No panic, no surprise, just that smug little stare like she was front row at some midnight circus. That very afternoon, Delilah walked into the courthouse for her arraignment, looking like she already had it in the bag, grinning like a cat who swallowed a whole flock of canaries. But let me tell you, when the clerk called her case, and Delilah looked up at the judge's bench, her face drained faster than cheap wine at a garden party. Don't go anywhere, because what happened next, that's the moment the woman who burned my life down ended up begging for mercy from the last person she ever expected. Name's Marcus Thornfield. Half a year ago, I was just a brand new municipal judge fresh off a messy divorce, thinking I'd finally seen it all after 15 years fighting as a public defender. I just bought a house in Willowbrook Estates. Don't get fancy with the image. It's rows of overpriced tract homes with street names like Manor Way and Estate Drive, the kind of place where folks lease BMWs they can't afford and act like they invented suburbia. I picked this place for one reason: a giant garage perfect for my classic car habit and woodworking itch. First 3 days were pure bliss. Autumn leaves, fresh sawdust rolling my table saw off the moving truck. But on day 3, I heard it, the click, click, click of acrylic nails on a clipboard, followed by a smile sharper than any chisel I own. Welcome to Willowbrook. I'm Delilah Harrington, HOA president. She handed me a 47-page community standards manifesto already highlighted, especially the garage and noise sections. She wasn't even subtle about it, snapping photos of everything. My garage, my car, my mailbox. It should have been a warning, but after all those years in court, I figured, how bad could one wannabe dictator be? Turns out arrogance is blinding. Delilah was dangerous not because she was smart, but because she was desperate enough brains to be creative enough bitterness to get reckless. The harassment started 2 weeks in, right on schedule, a violation letter on thick letterhead about unauthorized storage of non-street legal vehicles. Jokes on her my Mustang was fully legal, but Delilah wasn't banking on facts, she was banking on intimidation. So I fired back photos, paperwork, everything organized, tighter than a federal indictment. Her response: showed up with backup for a compliance inspection. Enter Patricia, the nervous neighbor, and Randy, her brother-in-law, failed realtor and proud tape measure owner. They nitpicked my mailbox, the height of my grass, measured it for crying out loud, and even the brand of my doormat. You want a tip? Most HOA harassment only works if you don't know your rights. I documented every exchange, every threat, every inspection. 2 weeks later, another violation: unauthorized garage modifications. That's when I spent a whole weekend at City Hall digging up permits, showing everything was legal, signed, stamped, all by the book. I sent Delilah a copy with a polite warning about filing false code complaints, felony territory in our state. I rattled her. Instead of backing off, she doubled down. Given your confrontational attitude, we'll conduct more frequent reviews, because apparently asking for fairness is confrontational in Willowbrook. That's when I knew I wasn't just defending my garage, I was at war. Soon she was measuring my driveway, making notes about my garage's proximity to the property line. That tape measure of hers became a metronome for trouble, every snap a countdown to the next ambush. Then she switched tactics, noise complaints to the city, all unfounded. Officer Rodriguez, bless his patience, would show up, sound meter in hand, apologize for wasting my time, and quietly tell me, repeated false complaints can get the caller fined. Just saying. Legal trick number 2, document everything. But Delilah was relentless. She started taking photos from the sidewalk every day, always just on the legal edge, always creepy as hell. One barbecue at Patricia's. I finally heard the real reason, overheard Delilah through the window. People like him think they can change our neighborhood. His kind doesn't understand property values. It wasn't about cars or noise. It was about me not fitting her mold. Patricia shaken told me quietly, "She isn't like this with everyone." My research proved it. White families got gentle reminders. New folks or anyone different got formal threats. The pattern was as ugly as it was obvious. Next violation, excessive vehicle maintenance. The rule copied word for word from some out-of-state commercial HOA. She didn't even bother to check the context. My response on legal letterhead shredded her logic and warned of harassment liability. That's when she slipped her next letter was handwritten full of emotional jabs. Mr. Thornfield clearly thinks his legal background puts him above community standards. Bingo. Now it was personal. That's when all 4 of my car tires got mysteriously slashed. Another line crossed more evidence for my file. The real twist. She kept measuring my property, eyeing the garage, the electrical panel, the lines getting ready for something bigger. That's when I spotted her brother-in-law, Randy, late at night fiddling with the community mailbox's electrical box. I started cross-referencing everything new: insurance policies, emails about infrastructure risks, receipts for electrical components. Delilah had taken out a policy covering damage to adjacent structures. My garage counted as adjacent. She was planning arson, plain and simple, to cover up her embezzlement from the HOA account lease payments on that BMW she paraded around, all on the HOA's dime. Embezzlement, insurance fraud, tampering with property markers, which Earl, my surveyor, discovered had been moved, fresh concrete, wrong metal, the works. She was cornered, desperate and dangerous. But see, my years in court taught me sometimes you've got to let people dig their own graves. I set up more cameras, coordinated with Officer Rodriguez, and let her go through with it. Every move, every purchase, every midnight visit caught in high def. The night of the accident, I staged a fake camping trip, moved my Mustang to Earl's garage, and waited with the fire department and police on standby. At 3:30 a.m., their timer triggered the electrical fire, but we were already there. Fire crews doused the flames. Cops swarmed in, and Delilah's face when she realized it had all been caught on tape, pure poetry. Randy was busted trying to remove evidence. Delilah sped over in her pajamas right into a federal crime scene. Every receipt, every letter, every click of her measuring tape became part of the case file. Arson, insurance fraud, mail fraud, civil rights violations, you name it. In court, I had to recuse myself, but I did get to look Delilah in the eye as I read her charges. Her legs gave out. No amount of makeup could hide the terror of facing real consequences. Randy flipped, confessed everything. The courtroom buzzed with the kind of satisfaction you only get when a bully finally eats their own medicine. Delilah got 12 years banned from ever touching HOA leadership again. Randy got 8. The neighborhood Patricia stepped up as HOA president, passed real reforms. No more one-woman dictatorships, clear rules, real votes. We used the insurance money to set up community workshops, fix homes, and help anyone targeted by landlords or HOA bullies. Earl's surveying business took off. Rodriguez got promoted to a housing discrimination unit. Even Sarah, the journalist who broke the story, won awards and started a statewide push for HOA reform. As for me, I get Saturday mornings back, just the sound of sawdust and laughter from neighborhood kids learning how to use a hammer. Every time I pick up my old house keys, I remember I never had to run, never had to surrender. Now Willowbrook feels like home for real. So here's what I wanted to know. Have you ever tangled with a crooked HOA or watched some petty tyrant try to ruin a good thing? Drop your story below. Your voice might be the one that gives someone else the courage to fight back. And if you want to hear more about how everyday folks turn the tables on the worst kind of neighborhood bullies, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and get ready for the next wild ride. Sometimes karma really does come dressed in a judge's robe, and sometimes justice is just a well-timed click away.